Which is what you made the point earlier. It shows that this Sophia, or this word, was the expression which later manifested itself in that manner via Jesus. So all that, in essence, is saying that this is God's plan, pre-plan, via the word, which later becomes personified in the expression of Jesus. And hence this then shows that Jesus was not existing in the literal sense of the word at that time, but later on he became this expression, and hence it harmonizes perfectly the point that I think you tried to highlight may have been a contradiction. Christian, man, do you want to add something else to that?
Yeah. That's a good job of Nizam. Yeah, I mean, everything's being made new through Christ, because Christ thanks the Father in John 17 for giving him the ability to give life to others. So all things are made new through the Messiah. He's the reason why. But we can see in John 1, if we just read it, we can see that Jesus is not God, because it tells you there was a man sent from God. Was Jesus the one sending John? No. It tells you that many are going to be sons of God. We're not sons of Jesus. We're brothers of Jesus. So if you just keep reading John 1 all the way down, it excludes Jesus from being there. And Jesus says, sanctify them in truth, Father, the logos of you, the word of you, right? So God, if they want to use dia, the genitive, yes, I agree. Jesus Christ is the creator here, because God delegated Christ's authority to create. If you look at Ephesians 2:15, it talks about Christ creating one new man, his church, out of Jew and Gentile, and pouring out the gift of the Spirit to believers, the thrones, the dominions, the rulers and authorities. These are only positions of power that, yes, Jesus did create. I can create a job. It doesn't mean that I waved my hands and all of a sudden things came down from the sky. So the church, as the body of Christ, was a brand new entity. It was created out of Christ through Jew and Gentile, and he had to create structures, positions of power that would allow it to function both in the spiritual world, like positions of angels that would minister to the church, if you look at Revelations, and the physical world, the positions and ministries on earth, if you look at Romans and Ephesians. And so the Bible describes these physical and spiritual realities as things in earth, visible and invisible. Okay, so, they're just not paying attention to the list of things that Paul gives us. I can say, honey, who drank all the juice? But that doesn't mean that this is all the juice in the world or the universe. It means all the juice in the house. So Paul uses, again, aponidipolosis. It's a very important thing. It means to pay attention, whether they be thrones, dominions, rulers, and authorities. And Paul, or John, uses NRK for Jesus. Jesus tells you, you have been with me from NRK, from the beginning. Who are you, Jesus? What I have told you from the beginning, NRK. See, so what they're doing is they're presupposing their own ideas and saying that Jesus Christ is back there in the beginning. John does not say Jesus is there. God the Son. In the beginning was God the Son. And God the Son was with the Father. Great. Then you'd have a little bit of a story. But John does not say this, right? And so when we look at John's writings, we can see that everything is being made new through the Messiah. Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And what I would like people to do is to go to 1 John. If you want to go to John 1, how about you go to 1 John 1, which is actually and I'll pull it up right here if people don't mind. This is actually a commentary of John 1. It says, this is the message which we have heard and proclaimed to you, that God is light. So we have the light and the darkness in John 1, and it was light and the light is the darkness. It tells about this is the message which we have heard, and some translations say the word. If we say we have fellowship with him while we walk in the darkness, we lie and do not live according to the truth. But if we walk in the light as he is the light, we have fellowship with one another, right? So this is the message we have heard from the beginning. See, right here in the opening of 1 John 1, that which was from the beginning, which we have heard, which we have seen with our eyes, which we have looked upon and touched with our hands, concerning the word of life. So we have the beginning, we have the word, people are touching him and everything. This is not talking about the old creation. Okay, you have to go to John's commentary, and again in our land, we can see when the word began. The word which was proclaimed throughout Judea, beginning from Galilee after the baptism which John preached. This is when Jesus Christ begins his ministry. The word becomes flesh, and Diego wants to say the word became incarnate. You have to keep reading. The word became flesh and dwelt among us, and John bore witness of him. Okay, so you have two options. You have the word becoming flesh as Jesus is becoming incarnate, and then immediately we're told that John is bearing witness of Jesus. John was 6 months old. He's not bearing the witness of Jesus' birth in his crib. When did John bore witness of Jesus? At his baptism. So the word became flesh and dwelt among us, and John bore witness of him. Everything matches fluidly when you actually stick to it and don't throw John in the beginning in RK also. Thanks.